Hey everyone, welcome back to SA Daily Insight, the channel where we dig deep into South Africa's biggest stories, expose the truths hiding in plain sight, and connect the dots others don't want you to see. My name is Peter, and today's story is one that honestly feels like something out of a thriller movie, but it's not fiction. It's happening right here in South Africa, and the weight of it could change the way we look at our justice system, our politics, and even the idea of power in this country. Now, I need you to stay with me here, because what I'm about to unpack is layered, it's messy, and it's dangerous. We're talking about high-ranking generals, big-name politicians, WhatsApp bundles full of secrets, raids, tenders worth millions, links to the ANC, and even a suspicious death of a former police minister overseas. You already know when you hear that combination, something heavy is going on. So let's start where the story picks up, at the Madlanga Commission. If you've been following South African news closely, you'll know this commission has been dragging skeletons out of closets for a while now. And in the middle of all of this, we have General Mkhwanazi and General Khumalo, two men who are basically saying, we're coming straight for the dons. And when they say dons, they mean the real power players, the ones pulling strings behind the scenes, the people who thought they were untouchable. The testimony they're giving now is in Part B. And this section is specifically focused on infiltration, how organized crime has wormed its way into our criminal justice system. Imagine that for a second. The very system that's supposed to protect citizens, investigate wrongdoing, and hold people accountable. Infiltrated by the same criminals it's meant to fight. And if that doesn't shake you to your core, I don't know what will. Now, how do we know this? How do we prove it? Well, the commission isn't just coming with words. They've got receipts, literally, WhatsApp bundles, 5 of them, each one like a chapter in this real-life crime saga. Bundle 1? It's all about Vusi Matlala and Brown Mogotsi, 2 names that keep coming up over and over again, and trust me, you'll understand why as we move along. Bundle 2? That's Matlala chatting it up with Major General Senona and his son Thato. Already that should raise eyebrows. Why is a man with alleged cartel ties so cozy with a general and his family? Bundle 3? That's where it gets shady. Matlala and Julius Mkhwanazi. This is the guy who was apparently out here giving people blue light favors, acting like his relationships with Matlala gave him endless powers. Then there's Bundle 4, Matlala and Calvin Rafadi. And finally, Bundle 5, Matlala and Suleiman Kareem, who isn't just some random guy. He's a leader in the ANC in the Northwest, with his fingers in business arrangements too. When you lay it out like that, you can already see the web being woven. But the WhatsApps aren't just friendly chats. These are detailed conversations, filled with incriminating information, and the commission isn't just telling us, they're showing us. They've got video recordings, proof of payments, and even banking details. Now, for us, the public, some of those details are redacted. But behind the scenes, the commissioners are holding the raw, unfiltered data. They know the account numbers, the transfers, the exact details. And let me tell you something. This isn't hearsay. This is evidence so specific, so overwhelming, that you almost feel like you're drowning in it. Proof everywhere. Metadata analysis was done on phones, and here's the kicker. Vusi Matlala actually consented to have his phone checked. That was his biggest mistake. I don't know if he thought they wouldn't find anything, or if arrogance just got the best of him, but that decision might be what cracked this whole thing wide open. Now let's zoom into December of last year, because this month feels like the turning point in this whole saga. On December 6th, search and seizure operations went down at 2 homes, one belonging to Katiso Molefe, the other to Vusi Matlala, both men tied to what's being called the Big Five cartel. And these weren't small raids. This was full-blown evidence collection. Then fast forward to the 18th and 19th of December. The GCI ops team descended on the premises of Cat VIP Protection. They went under the Firearms Control Act, and they didn't leave empty-handed. They took every single weapon on the property for ballistic testing. Imagine that. Your whole arsenal, gone in a flash. And they didn't return them for weeks. Matlala, who was used to operating like he had power in his back pocket, panicked. At first, he thought about fighting it legally, going through the courts to get his weapons back. But eventually, he dropped it. Why? probably because he knew that dragging it out would only open more cans of worms he couldn't afford to expose. Then, just a few days later, on December 24th, there was a meeting about a tender. This tender was registered under Matlala's wife's company, but everyone knew it was really his deal. This is where the money starts to intertwine with the politics, because when you're talking about tenders linked to law enforcement and the people behind them have criminal ties, that's not just reckless, that's catastrophic. You can feel the heat rising in this story, because while all this was happening, WhatsApp messages between Matlala and Mogotsi were flying back and forth. They show Matlala under pressure, scrambling to make payments, trying to cover accommodation costs for ANC members for the January 8th celebrations. Brown Mogotsi was basically playing fixer, telling him, "I'll sort this out. I'll handle it. Just pay up." And payments did get made. 25% deposits here, transfers there. What makes this worse is who Mogotsi was talking to. He had direct lines of communication with the police minister, the minister's chief of staff, and other ANC members. He even had access to sensitive police information, things he shouldn't have been able to touch. That alone tells you how deep the infiltration went. And it doesn't stop there. These guys weren't just panicking about raids. They were actively trying to manipulate the system. And then came the smoking gun, a message that confirmed the disbanding of the task team investigating Matlala. Think about that. The very people chasing him down suddenly dissolved. And this wasn't just talk. Payments followed right after. We're talking 111,000 rand, plus another 36,000 rand routed through a travel agency, only to end up with Mogotsi. That's not coincidence. That's a trail. That's proof of how money was being used to bend the system. And all of this ties back to tenders. Remember, this tender wasn't just any contract. It was linked to Bheki Cele's era, and people are now asking, how do you even give someone like Matlala, with such obvious ties to crime, a contract involving law enforcement? It doesn't add up, unless, of course, you factor in the influence and connections he had. By February, Mogotsi was already telling Matlala that all the dockets were being sent to Sibiya. By May, the tender was cancelled, with Senzo Mchunu recognizing just how risky and reckless it was. And you can imagine how that felt for Matlala, a man who's used to being on top, suddenly finding the walls closing in. He didn't take it lightly. He started threatening Senzo Mchunu directly, blaming him for blocking his tender, promising to deal with him. That's how cornered he felt. And the picture of Matlala himself. He wasn't just some businessman sitting comfortably behind a desk. This is someone who lived with one foot in crime and the other in politics and business. Now, if all of this wasn't shocking enough, the story takes an even darker turn. Because in the middle of all this chaos, former Police Minister Nathi Mthethwa was found dead in France. The president himself confirmed it. His name had already been mentioned in testimonies. He was even listed as a potential witness by a parliamentary committee. And then suddenly, he's gone. Was it suicide? Was it something more sinister? Nobody knows. But the timing is too sharp to ignore. And it forces us to ask, how many of these connections go deeper than we think? The Commission's revelations are painting a picture of a justice system that isn't just flawed, it's compromised. Organized crime hasn't just influenced small corners, it's reached into the highest offices, bent police ministers, chiefs of staff, and ANC leaders into tools. Payments, tenders, protection, manipulation. It's all there, laid bare for anyone willing to see. And maybe that's why this moment feels so significant. This isn't just another corruption scandal. This is a moment in South Africa's history where the masks are slipping, and we're being shown just how entangled our politics and our criminal networks have become. I think what makes this story even heavier is the way the evidence is presented. It's not vague. It's not whispers. It's WhatsApp messages. It's proof of payments. It's raids with weapons seized. It's generals standing up in public commissions and saying, "This is what happened." The smoke isn't just there. The fire is burning in plain sight. So, as South Africans, we need to ask ourselves, where does this lead? Does the Commission have the teeth to actually bring accountability? Will the ANC distance itself from the figures implicated, or will it circle the wagons like it has in the past? And how many more names are going to drop as the testimonies continue? For me, one thing is clear. This is bigger than Matlala, bigger than Mogotsi, bigger than the tender or the raids. This is about whether South Africa can actually stand up to organized crime when it's fused so tightly with politics. And if it can't, what kind of country are we heading into? That's where I'll leave it today. But trust me, this story is far from over. And here on SA Daily Insight, we'll keep following it, pulling the threads, and laying out the truths you won't hear anywhere else. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you for sticking with me. I know it's a lot to take in, but these are the conversations we need to be having. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this commission will actually lead to justice, or is it just another performance? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to stay updated as we dig even deeper into the stories shaping our country. My name is Peter, and this has been SA Daily Insight. Until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and as always, stay aware.